Hi, I'm Ciaran Deely from Sport Horizon, and you're very welcome. This is actually the first episode of our brand new webinar series that we have launched. You'll see the videos across YouTube and our website on sporthorizon.co.uk. I'm delighted to start off this series with a well-known practitioner and a good friend of Sport Horizon, and that's Kevin Tosti, and he's the performance analyst with the US soccer men's national team. And he's going to come on today and he's going to speak a little bit about his career, which I think is always really interesting to hear where he is, what he's doing, what he's done in the past, and the kind of skills that he's learned along the way, I guess, to get him to where he is now. And also, then he's just going to show a little bit as well about his Tableau workbooks and a use case of how he uses Tableau to analyze data, to gain insights, and to get bespoke, intelligent insights from all the data and from training. Kevin, you're very welcome and looking forward to seeing some of your work.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here and talk about it. It's great that you guys are doing this.
Great. Okay, before we go into about your career, we'd just like to remind our viewers that head over to sporthorizon.co.uk. We've just launched a brand new online course, which is self-paced, and it's Tableau for Performance Analyst Level 1. So it's nicely linked in with the work that Kevin is doing. We also have Tableau for Sports Scientists Level 1, which is a little bit more of tracking GPS data and training load data. We also, of course, have lots of Power BI courses as well. So check it out over there on sporthorizon.co.uk. Kevin, just firstly, then, do you want to take us through your career, where you've been, obviously what you're doing at the moment, and also a little bit about your education and pathway?
Yeah, sure, definitely. Yeah, so I'm originally from New Jersey in the United States, just outside New York City. And when I was 18 years old, I had to make a decision either to try to play soccer in the college level here in America, or try to find something that I wanted to do as a career. Because as much as I love playing soccer, I knew I wasn't as good as everybody else around me. So yeah, that's when I just started researching, did my research, and I found Liverpool John Moores University. And they specialize in sports and exercise science. And within the sports and exercise science program, there was the performance analysis science of football. So that's when I decided to give that a shot. Being international, I had to do an extra year, an international year in the UK. So that got me settled in, got me used to a new culture, new lifestyle, living far away from home. So that was good. And then yeah, I did my science and football degree, and that was a great experience, and I learned so much. And what I think is so great about that university and that course is very practical. There was a lot of days that the whole class was out on the field doing 11v11 while we were all wearing GPS units, and then we had to analyze the GPS data afterwards, or we had an analysis lab, which was very exciting at the time, and still is great because we get to use the software that is used in a lot of clubs now, like Sports Code or other softwares like that. So that's while I was over there, I got an internship with Burnley, and that's kind of how I got started. I just was asked to come in on Wednesday nights for, I think it was like the under 12s, to film the games, and I just showed a lot of interest and kept showing up, and was even showing up on days that I wasn't needed to come in, but they were more than happy to have me in, and that was great. And that moved on to an internship with the 23s, where I got to work closely with the coaching staff there and the analysis team there. And then that turned into continuing to do work for them, and with they hired Mike Rigg as the technical director, who then created a recruitment analysis department, which the club at the time didn't have. And that's where I went for that, and I was lucky enough to earn the job and work with a team and start a whole new department within the club. And that was a great time. And then I continued my
Was that
education. Sorry.
Kevin? And was that who was the manager at that time? And
Yeah,
we read well,
at,
yeah,
at the time we had Sean Dyche.
yeah,
It was just those amazing years, and him and his coaching staff just an amazing job at the club, and we were in the Premier League, and it was just a great time, and to be a part of that, and it was the year I joined was the year the new training facility also opened up, which is an incredible facility that they have built there. Um, and then while I was there, I was still continuing my education, and I was doing my master's at Chester University in performance analysis. And then while I was just, balancing both the job and that, it was all really good. And
yeah, yeah.
um,
How did you find like transitioning from the sports science or the science in football into performance analysis, and like why did you choose that route, for instance?
yeah, I think originally I thought that I wanted to be in coaching. And that's kind of the path that I thought I was going to take. And I thought, okay, I'd go over to England and get some experience, get sports science degree, see what that's about. And then once I started doing that degree, it kind of opened my eyes a little bit of there's a lot behind the scenes at a football club. And there's a lot of people that have important roles, whether it's the sports science team with tracking the load, or the analysis team scouting the opposition, or the coaching staff. And there's multiple roles within the club that are just a major factor in the club's success, and even all the way through to the kitchen staff is super important for a club's success. So yeah, I think that's kind of I just really enjoyed that role of analysis. I saw that, it's more of a, a coach. It's like a coach, but also you're taking information, and you're trying to provide the coaching staff with all the information so they can make the decisions based off of their experience, based off the data, based off of everything.
Yeah, yeah. Did you at any stage do coaching badges yourself, or do you feel that like is that a necessary step? Because you see now a lot of performance analysts they're even traveling around with like they're going from club to club or association to association with the head coach because they kind of develop that close bond, and they're nearly involved in like the implementation of tactics and the communication process like that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I did while I was over in England, I did my FA badges, and I was lucky enough to get to do them with the help of Burnley. We would do them as a staff and people that wanted to, or they weren't forced to. And But yeah, no, that's obviously a big thing now with analysts traveling with the coach. And I think what a lot of it comes down to is not only um the most of them do build up their badges, but it's also just the time they spend together. You spend a lot of time in the coach's room, and your job as an analyst is to see the game as the head coach sees the game, so that when you're scouting the opposition or scouting your own team and providing the feedback, you start to earn that trust, and you get in with the coach to then that he can trust you to go off and do those things, and he knows exactly how he wants it. So that when it comes to him, there's no time lost, because obviously we all know in sports that there's the next game is right around the corner. So it's about efficiency and doing a really good job at it as well.
Yeah. Okay. Very interesting. Yeah. The role is changing definitely, and I guess we'll come on to it in a few minutes just about the data as well and how important that is. Is that's the other kind of end of the spectrum when you look at performance analysts now of being able to handle large data sets and analyze it, visualize it, communicate it. But sorry, I've stopped you. So you were in Burnley and yeah, you've gone on from there.
Yeah, yep. So when I was in Burnley around 2020, I think it was, yeah, January of 2020. It just finished off a transfer window with Burnley, and That's kind of around the time that I decided there was a position open close to my hometown in New York City FC, as performance analyst for the first team. It was like a dual role. And I decided that it was a good time and maybe to try to go back and try to work my way up through the industry over in America. And that's when I joined New York City FC. And I had some great years with them and we won the MLS Cup and we've won other and the Champions Cup. So there was a lot of fun involved in that and also a lot of hard work. So it was a great time and got to work with Ronnie Dyla was the first coach at the time, and then under Nick Cushing after that. And then after, I think it was 3 seasons, 4 seasons maybe, uh, no, 3 seasons that I then got the opportunity to come to U.S. Soccer under Greg Berhalter and be part of his staff here and the analysis team here with the men's team, and now currently under Mauricio Pochettino. So that was it's been a very exciting journey, one that's taken a lot of hours, a lot of time, and it's been tough. I have a longtime girlfriend who has to, be at home for long periods of time by herself. Or, for example, when we took this job with U.S. Soccer, make the decision to up and leave and move to Chicago from New York, so where our family is based. So it takes a lot of dedication and a lot of time, but the reward is what really pushes you forward for it.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of dedication from your close family as well, and sometimes it can be hard to keep up friendships and and extended family kind of relationships. And yeah, that's the world of sport. That's another conversation, definitely.
Yeah.
We jump into. Okay, just finally, then I'm interested. Like obviously with World Cup 2026 coming up in the US. It's a very exciting time. You've got Messi playing in the MLS and other, top players. There seems to be a lot of investment as well. I mean, there's a lot of investment from American investors in England as well, and in Europe. So in soccer or football in general. But it must be a really interesting time to be part of that whole process.
Yeah, no, it's been amazing. I think I think the league has really been growing even prior to Messi. Obviously Messi made a massive engagement in the league, but I think there's been a lot of different changes that's been slowly happening over the years that's been really great for the league. And I think obviously Messi makes that even more global, but it's a really exciting time here in America. I think it's the league is great. The fans are amazing, and it's just getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
I always gauge it off my high school best friends who, they know I love soccer and I'm all about it, and they're into it, but not so much. But when they start sending me stuff on social media trending because something happened in the MLS or something like that, that's how I know we're starting to get somewhere. So it's really exciting time, and I think the World Cup in this country is going to be such a fantastic just thing to watch because I think it's really going to take shape in every city that each venue is located in, and it's going to be amazing. I'm really excited for it.
Great, yeah. I mean, brilliant venues, brilliant stadiums. Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see also post World Cup how the game really explodes across the states. Do you want to touch on just very finally anything about your day-to-day role at the moment? Maybe you want to keep to not say too much, but yeah, it'd be just interesting, I think, for our audience just to hear just little bits about what's involved, I guess, with the role of a PA with a men's national team.
Yeah, I'll touch a little bit. Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity. Obviously, when you're with the national team, you have a little bit more time than you do with the club because with the club, you're all about results and you're all about the next game and the points in the league. So there's not as much time maybe to say the bigger projects. I think it takes it takes a big team to be able to do that. And over here, a lot of analysis teams aren't so big yet. I think, and a lot of MLS teams will have 2 to 3 guys, whereas your Premier League teams might have, 5 to 6 guys or even 8 guys doing multiple jobs. So, but with that being said, with the national team currently is we have a lot more time between opponents, and that gives us more time to do a deeper dive on that opponent, whether it's through the data or through the video. And then we also, do a lot of understanding of our own team, and a lot of projects around that, and working with the coaching staff and how we want to express ourselves when we get together on camp. Because when you do get on camp, it's almost feels like that club feeling, when you go away for international break, because the time is very limited. The players are all arriving, coming from their clubs they've come maybe and they just played games, so they can't get on the field right away because they're still in recovery, and there's just a lot of different factors that make a camp go very quickly, but also feel like you don't have a lot of time. Um,
Yeah.
so I think it's just a lot of preparation for those camps and for that opponent, which is very important. And then the bigger picture and how we want to grow as US soccer, and we want to grow to the world to show what our players can do in the sport.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, really interesting. Okay, if you want to jump into your workbook, so you're just going to run through an example dashboard that you've created with Tableau. So Tableau is one of the business intelligent tools that sports scientists, S&C coaches, more and more now actually, performance analysts use to store your data, manipulate it, analyze it, visualize it, and gain some intelligent insights, and then obviously to communicate it. So, yeah, I guess over to you, Kevin. Just show a little bit about how you use it, and yeah, it's looks really nice.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to I'll just give an example here of a training, like a session tracker, really, just looking at training over time. Um, so basically the way that this is built out is that it was built for a dual purpose, and I think this is really important in Tableau, is that yeah, we can use it here and have a nice live dashboard that we have tooltips popping up, or we can have it as a screenshot, because you know not everybody has the access to the software, or maybe your organization or whoever you work with doesn't have the online version where you can post your workbook online, and then it can be used by your coaches or by anybody that you want to use it. So that's why I always find the dual purpose when building out a workbook really important. And I think it's really good because then it's a screenshot and it can be sent over a WhatsApp, or it could be the live version if they want it to be the live version. But I think that part is really important. Um, yeah, I think I'll just talk you guys through the how it's used and what it's like. And so,
Yeah.
for example, we have July, August, September here of previous training. Up on our top, we can filter that down. We can only, if we wanted to, just look at July and August. And then we can see that this filter then affects all of our other filters. So we can see that in July, and we'll just go start with July. We trained for 956 total minutes. And we can see what we did in that training. So if we wanted to see specifically what we did here on the 7th, we can see that we had a walkthrough, we had a warm up, and then we had a small side game, and then we worked on some individual stuff. I also layered in the colors, which then represent the workload. So working with the sports science team, we can then say how intense the day was. So red being a match day. So you can see that Waves 1-0. See if I can get this to stay. There you go. Waves 1-0 to Thunderstrike, or sorry, lost 1, Thunderstrike 2, and they were away. So we are Waves. And then the club badge of the opponent is down here. So then we can see that lead up, and see that club badge stay. And then the green is our days off. So then we can see where in the week we had a day off. So we can see this week here, we had a match on a Wednesday, then we had a match on a Sunday. So we can look at what we did in between. The other filter is when looking at all the dates in one is the opponent. So if we wanted to know specifically what we did against let's say the Falcons, we can then look at, okay, well, sorry, let's do it gold. Can then look that we played Golden. We had to play them back to back in a two-leg game. So we played them on a Sunday, and then we had to play them on a Wednesday. So then we can start to look at, okay, what we did leading up to them prior, and did it affect the game? Another example, if we just take a look at July and August here, we can see that we have a game on Monday. And if we just want to take a look at what we did leading up to that game, I can highlight those days. And I can see that we had heavy high press in training. And maybe that's because that team, we felt doing the analysis and scouting that they were good at build up, and or high press was an opportunity where we could win the game. So in that week of training, we worked on that. And then what we can do post is see if that worked or not. Did we train it enough? Did we not train it enough? And then that can go back to when we play them later in the year. We can then filter their name again, go find how much of high press did we do that week? Did we feel like that game plan worked? Do we feel like it will work again? We can also see we had, leading up to that game, we had 2 days off. So does that affect the training cycle? And then I guess finally, the final kind of filter that we can look at is if we have it all selected and we want to look at the days, okay, maybe we're after these 3 months, we realize that our build up from the back wasn't so great over those 3 months, and it's an area where teams high pressed us and affected us. So then we can take a look, just selecting and finding out what days we did these build-ups on and against what opponent. And then we can start to look into how that's affecting our play, and do we need to do more of it? Same goes for the possessions. Are we doing a positional possession if we want to work on keeping the ball, or are we doing boxes if we just want to do some technical work? Same with the individual positions. Are we getting enough time after training to slot this in? You can see there's quite a few days here, so that's quite good to see, because when you have a season full of red, full of games, it's hard to find time for that because with the player load. And so yeah.
And no, it's fascinating. And like this is so far away from your performance analyst just analyzing the match
Yeah.
and producing a report about the match stats, about possession percentages and touches of the ball. And like this to me is when people talk about a multidisciplinary team, whereby your head coach or your manager, your medical team, your sports scientists, and your performance analysts are sitting down. And like when you brought up about the positional possession practices that you've worked on, then you can look back over that 2.5 month period and identify how many days and which days and were they high load. And so I'm just thinking off the top of my head, when a player gets injured and you analyze it and kind of reverse engineering, looking back and seeing, okay, well, what did we do on those days, and was the load too high? I'm sure the sports scientist loves a dashboard like this.
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely we're definitely always the ones in the inbox asking for it as well with the coaching staff. But yeah, this is like you said, exactly. It's a really good judge for what you did previously, and it helps you build for the future. And that's why it's a really good tool. in that sense. But like you say, like it's far away from the analysis role of the scouting of the player scouting, of the opponent scouting, of your own team performance feedback, but it's all part of it, and it's all part of our role as an analyst to evaluate every single part of the game, whether it's training or a match or the opponent. It's all part of that performance analysis cycle, which is really, really important for us.
You're really involved in training prescription here, aren't you? You know, with
Yeah.
the, I mean, alongside the coach, obviously, but you're there aiding the coach in training prescription of providing data, providing analysis for them that they can take, and then with the sports scientist or the S&C coach can develop the training programs then for the players, and obviously retrospectively looking back as well, which is so important. Just one question on it then.
Yeah.
It's visually so engaging, and obviously you'll always see S&C coaches and maybe sports scientists will be, you know, using Excel to draw out like a training diary like this and just color coding things and all. But like this is so much more engaging and obviously has a and so many more layers of depth to it that you can take data from. But I guess people are probably interested, like some people don't know what Tableau is at
Yeah.
all. Some people will have used it a little bit or seen maybe graphics of like a very simple report, but this is a very, I guess, intelligent and interactive dashboard. And just the differences that you've found or the benefits of using Tableau.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is the visuals with Tableau. I think you said it yourself is the engagement part. So first off, when it needs to be easy to read. So when you look at it as within 5 seconds, you need to understand what's happening. And I think that comes down to the creator of the workbook. I think they need to have that understanding that, you know, there's like we stated earlier, there's not a lot of time in the day. And when these reports get sent, it just wants to be a quick glance. Okay, what are you highlighting? What are you trying to tell me? And does it pop visually in my face about that? And I think that's what's really important. And you know, there's a lot of colors maybe on this page. Maybe I would take this workload and maybe do like a I don't know, a light blue to a dark blue to change it, maybe to just have it a visually more matching with the colors here. Because I think colors are also very important when it comes to creating your workbook. I think finding the color that pops, but also maybe not that too bright or like a neon or like a lime green that's just like too much on the screen. I think all of that really affects the buy-in from the people that you're trying to display this to, which the buy-in is ultimately the biggest thing. And the second you lose that buy-in it becomes useless. But I think that's what's really important here.
Yeah, no, it's a really good point because sometimes when I say to people about like how important it is, just the visual and how it looks, and they always or they often think that, but like that's not the important thing. It's the data, it's the analysis and everything like that. But I know myself from being a coach and a manager in Gaelic football and a little bit in football, like the coach has such little amount of time and they just want to see a quick visual and say, okay, these are the days that we trained hard. These are the red days. These were the games where, you know, the high load, the low load, etc. And it's like, okay, give me, I've got 10 seconds here. Can you give me the important information?
Yeah,
um,
yeah, exactly.
so having the more they engage with it, the better, obviously, and getting the insights and you know it's all very well having really deep data, but if it's not communicated across to the coach, it's not worth the paper it's written on. I like the names of your clubs.
Yeah, that was great.
Okay, brilliant. Okay. Um, right. Okay. So look, thank you very much, Kevin. I think that's really visually amazing dashboard and very engaging in terms of the data it's showing as well, and the depth to it. I think it helps. It certainly helps the coaches. It helps the sports scientists, the S&C, the medical team. So it's very very interesting, and a good use case of Tableau and the use of data.
Yeah.
Before I pass over to you, just to say about how people can connect in with you and ask any questions, just a reminder to our audience to head over to our website, so www.sporthorizon.co.uk. Take a look at some of our new Tableau online courses. Also, there's Power BI if you're that way inclined on the Microsoft side. And we've got some interesting one-to-one services that we provide as well. And we've got a big announcement coming on the next weeks and months about how we can directly link into your data through our API service and to our dashboards and reports, which will be really interesting, but we'll speak more about that in the future. So just make sure, head over to the website, check out our stuff and see is there anything that's appropriate for you. Kevin, if people want to reach out and get in touch, or even just to follow your journey, how would they do so?
Yeah, no, I'm on X at Kevin Tosti, Tosti, and I'm also on LinkedIn, so people can feel free to message me or follow along there. So great.
Great. Okay. Well, you're our first guest of our Sport Horizon webinar series. So
Great.
you'll always hold that position, and I can we'll have to give a little cup or a little trophy at some stage.
Yeah, I definitely need one of those. I love it. So, well, at
Uh,
least you can take that away from me.
yeah, exactly. And definitely we'll be watching the US national team very closely in the run up to the World Cup, and obviously at the World Cup it'll be a really exciting time for everybody. So thanks again for
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah, I appreciate having me, and I love what you guys are doing. So I'm very excited to watch this continue to grow and watch the other guests you guys get on.
Great, good. I hope you keep an eye on it. Okay, thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you on the next series.